Good morning. Guys here from, well, anyhow. The reason I'm here is to wish you happy Thanksgiving. Anybody that knows me knows my link to the holiday. Um, Brief summation. My dad provided for our family by being a farmer, in particular a poultry farmer. And in particular to that, turkeys. So, yes, my father was a farmer. Did I live on a farm? No. Did I spend time on the farm? Yes. Mostly up until my teenager years. I pitched in. I did my thing. Um, Anyhow, I just wanted to give you a quick history of, or some facts, I guess you could say, regarding Thanksgiving. Um, true stat, turkey will make you sleepy because of tryptophan. There's certain foods that will make you sleep more than others, and that is one of them. It's not that you're oversaturated, overindulged in, well, of course, not counting alcohol, but you're not going to pass out probably by eating a meatball sandwich. But, but turkey, that's another situation. Regardless, tryptophan, yes. Next, turkeys. How long do they live? I know this because I remember the turkeys were hatched, um, and then they prospered. God, they were at they were getting bigger and bigger. But anyhow, they're born in the summer, so it's a 5 week thing. Turkeys 5 weeks, 5 weeks cradle, and then Thanksgiving, a little before Thanksgiving, they are executed. Circle of life, baby. Anyhow, so that's, I think a lot of people wouldn't know that. Are turkeys stupid? Um, Not really. That's a, you know, they can't fly. That's not their fault. They've been bred not to be able to fly. They're because of genetics, they can't get off the ground. Wild turkeys, if you notice a wild turkey, they may be fluffed up, preening, but they're not fat. They're not. They're you know, slim, and they can run and they can get off the ground. Whole different situation. Surprisingly, well, to me, they last from 3 to 5 years um, in the wild. I haven't seen any in North Carolina. They're probably here, but in Connecticut, it was getting to be a bit of a nuisance in Cheshire. Those stupid things were everywhere. It's really interesting to watch them fly, though. They'll take a couple of, or 10 steps, and they'll be up. They're low flyers. They'll be up in the air. Um, it's quite cool to watch. So, um, another thing about a turkey is that. All right, I forgot what I was going to say. Um, Another question people ask me is, you must eat turkey like, 10, 20 times a year. No, not true. My mother would cook a Thanksgiving meal with the turkey as the centerpiece, and that would have all the other stuff. Her spin on it was she made a lasagna along with that. And at her mother's house, they would have this dish. It was called mignoch or something like that. It was this egg-based noodle dish. It was really good, and it was eaten cold or hot. But anyhow, so we would have turkey on Christmas, and maybe once during the year, my father would pull a turkey out of the cooler or the freezer, the deep freeze at the farm, and we would have a turkey. But it was normal. I personally, I don't. it's more the tradition than I think that turkey to me is bland. I mean, it's not my favorite. I'll eat it once a year. Will I go to the deli? I won't get it. Well, I know that that's processed junk. So, but anyhow, um, the big thing about Thanksgiving. So I'll give you a spin on transit. Thanksgiving growing up is my it's a big rush. It's like working in a department store around Christmas store. There's people everywhere. It's like mass confusion almost. But my family handled it well. My uncle and my father, the two brothers, they started the farm, and it ended up in the third generation. My cousin, uh, Billy, Bill Gozzi, Bill Gozzi, however you want to pronounce him, he's the guy right now. His father, Bill, also. This gets confusing, but he will be there. You'll see him at the farm still. He's 80 or so now. And his father before that, guess what? His name was Bill. But anyhow, three Bills, and plus my father was in. My brother, my dearly departed brother, was part of it. Robert or Bobby. But anyhow, um, so the farm was a Connecticut thing up until maybe I was 12 years old. Those people, I believe, all lived in Connecticut still. Um, but anyhow, at some point, my uncle got the itch to move down south. I mean, climate, and I'm not sure why he did it, to be truthful, but he moved down here, and his son followed him, who was a young man. He's quite a bit older than me. But anyhow, um, they got down here and they bought a lot of property. They bought and they established a lot of turkey farms. Meanwhile, up north, back in its heyday, there were actually four farms in Guilford. There's one at the bottom of Stepstone Hill Road. It was more like a glorified chicken shack, but I remember going in there. And there were two in North Guilford, rural, um, beautiful, beautiful land. And there were barns up there. I don't know if my father built those barns. He may have. He was a handy guy. But there was a lot of infrastructure for a lot of turkeys. And I'm talking range, multi 10, 20, 50 acres of beautiful land, which later, um, no longer was sustainable for farming. But I don't know where they acquired this land. I don't know where this stuff came from. All I know is I remember going to this place called West Street, and oh my God, I could remember it was like yesterday. You would go up this road that was like a dirtish road, and all of a sudden there would be barns, large barns, and there would be these little houses. And there was a regular house where this guy lived there when my father when they were going full bore, he had somebody living up there watching the thing while he did the rounds. Because like I said, there were four other places. Why they did this, I have no clue. But the main place in Guilford, off of Route 1, that's where the hatchery was. That's where the birds were actually born. Had these beautiful things to incubate. You think of an incubator, you might think of something the size of, half the size of a refrigerator. These incubators were like walking into a bank vault. It was just incredible. There were dozens and dozens of eggs, lined up in this thing, and they would hatch at a certain time, at a certain day. I don't know how they made that happen. I couldn't say. I wish, I had better info, but I didn't. But I remember going up to that farm when the turkeys, my father would go up there and regulate the heat in these giant, like slow bake ovens. And he would put these chemicals in this thing. Oh my God, it made your eyes burn. I don't know what it was, but it couldn't possibly have been good for you. But I'm still here, and he lived a fairly long time. So I have good memories of the farm, and it's kind of And so at some point the turkeys would be born. They were the cutest little things. They were yellow, yellow fuzzy creatures. You know that ugly thing you see, a gobble 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 thing with this thing on the nose? No, that's not what I think of a turkey. I think of a turkey as cute little yellow little fuzzy little things. They made tiny little peeps, but they no longer they turn from yellow to white real quick, and they grow literally like a weed, and they get ugly. Not mean creatures for sure. In fact, you walk into a barn with 2,000 turkeys in it, they'll cut you a path like you're the king. They will just get out of your way, and then guess what? They're following you. It was kind of unnerving. You see like 2,000 freaking animals walking right behind you, but there was no malicious intent. Turkey will peck at you if you put your hand near them because maybe they think you have food or whatever, but it wouldn't hurt or anything. Um, so good memories there. And at the bottom, everybody knows about the colored turkeys, right? This was my aunt's thing. I mean, she was she was quite a woman. My aunt Martha, she actually served in wartime in the Air Force. I need better information on that, but she was the matriarch. Yeah, I guess sort of the matriarch. Her and my mother would be. Um, but Martha lived right on the farm, whereas my mother we were elsewhere in Guilford. Um, Middle class all the way. Um, so, um, after the turkeys are born, they're put in these cage-like structures, and then eventually they need room because they're growing and whatnot. And they would get moved to the farms where they could grow and with plenty of room. And there is a barn still up in Guilford, and I actually saw a bunch of turkeys in there last summer. Um, so they're still doing it, so to speak. Um, and so also the Guilford place off of Boston Post Road is the one that everybody knows about, but that was a fraction of it, truthfully. Now you'll see the colored turkeys out there. Like I said, Martha had the idea, to put some gentle dye. Um, it washes right off. It doesn't harm the turkeys. Just I guess conversation or just a cool thing to do, and people drive from all over. I mean, I meet people through my first 6 decades in Gazi. Oh yeah, you got anything to do with the farm? Yeah, I mean, sort of. I could tell you stuff about the farm. I'm not a farmer. I was never offered to be a farmer, but that doesn't matter. It was a very family experience. When I first went I got into the program at Quinnipiac for the journalism for my master's, and one of the first stories I wrote was no, scratch that. Um, Anyhow, I wrote a story when I was in undergrad in a creative writing, uh, and it was the first story I wrote was about the turkey farm. Um, Anyhow, uh, good memories, all wholesome memories. There's a cast of characters that worked at the farm. I should write a book someday. I would have to make it a little more thrilling, but I think I have the basis for some good characters and some crazy stuff that may or may not have occurred. But anyhow, Thanksgiving. What else does Thanksgiving mean to me? Well, it's obviously it's pretty common that it's a big family thing. Get together, reunions. I mean, our family is badly shrunken now, and we moved to North Carolina, so um, it's not the same as it was. But for many years, we would celebrate it with family, and sometimes it would be 2 3 days. In fact, we used to go to Carrie's sister's house, and because they lived in Jersey, and it wasn't, you know, for some people, it was a bit of a hike, and we would celebrate Thanksgiving on Thursday, and then on Friday we would do an impromptu Christmas. We would bring gifts, and people would open gifts. It was nice. Thanksgiving, it wouldn't be Thanksgiving without football. Truthfully, triple header now. Yeah, back in the day it was a double header. Now it's a triple header. Interesting fun fact is the NFL doesn't really. It's got this dumb rule that Detroit and Dallas have to play, but other than that, all the other teams circle through Monday, Thursday, football, Thanksgiving Day football. The fact of the matter is, the viewership. Half the people may be sleeping through these games, not because they suck, but more so that they're, they had a little too much turkey, or maybe this or that or the other thing. But it's important. We like putting on, watching. I don't get into the pregame or any of that junk, and I'll watch games as long as they're interesting. I will stick with it more than even your average football fan, for sure. This year, in particular, the games, the Giants against Dallas game could be very interesting. This will show me what the Giants are made of. If Dallas slaughters them, as far as I'm concerned, they're done. And speaking of done, the Jets, they're in a serious turmoil right now. So somehow I went from Thanksgiving to the NFL. So, Gobbler doesn't have many tracks. Speaking of Gobbler, I got the nickname Gobbler when I was at Sikorsky at one point. I never took offense to it. What I did take offense to was in the 80s when this term turkeys came out, and they would talk about you being a turkey. Not me in particular, but if somebody was an innate idiot, you were a turkey. In other words, they were doing the spin on turkeys being stupid. That I never got in a fight over, but if somebody had busted my balls, it would have happened. So this Gobbler thing, I don't know, some jerk at work called me Gobbler. I laughed. So once I laughed, everybody knew it was open. So some people will call me that. Not many. But there was this one guy. He worked in this tool crib. We had this impromptu tool crib at Sikorsky where you could go in and get gloves or a mask or, stuff like disposable type stuff, a suit, sandpaper, whatever. He was an older guy. His name was George. I don't remember his last name. He was a crusty guy, and I think he was probably drunk. But anyhow, he liked me for whatever reason. He found out the Gobbler thing, so he ran with it. He would blow up a glove, like an oversized glove. It was yellow. That much I remember. He would blow it up, and it would be huge, like bigger than a basketball. And the fingers popping out kind of would look like a cone. And he drew a picture on there. And he would say, Gobbler. So he'd see me enter the room, and he would duck down. He inflated this thing and tied it so that it looked like an oversized basketball, but this creature-looking thing. It was funny not really scary, but funny. So he would prop the thing up on the counter. He would see me enter the room or something and duck down and he would wave that thing and go, Gobbler, Gobbler, Gobbler. He was just like out of his mind. Oh my God. I think that guy, well, it's not important, but I think it's funny. I call myself Gobbler sometimes. So I'm a strange guy. I can be very quiet, and I can gobble on. Especially when it comes to sports. I don't have many wheelhouses. But anyhow, What else about Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving is just it's a special time for me. I mean, there's a lot of people that have come and gone, you know, in my life, as would be the case with anybody 68 years old. So I spent, loving memories of them. Um, they harvest for me at Thanksgiving. I think of them. Um, this year in particular, our son, he's in Okinawa. Christy, she moved back to Connecticut. We move to North Carolina. She moves to Connecticut. But anyhow, good luck to them. Um, what else? I have a few Connecticut relatives. I have a few Massachusetts people, cousins in Maine who also are. They migrate to Florida. It's a small family. Carrie's family is even smaller. So this is the way it is, right? But anyhow, happy Thanksgiving, and